I have a story and a mission, and it's my duty to help people by illuminating a path forward so that other people can be a lighthouse and they can see their path forward. I gather the strength, I gather myself, and I do it as a service. And a lot of people have a message to share, and being scared to share it isn't helping anybody.
Welcome to Made Locally, the podcast for people building real businesses in the real world. I'm Rajul Jaswa, and on this show, I interview the entrepreneurs that have built thriving local businesses to uncover how they attracted customers, built strong brands, and grew rapidly and sustainably. You'll hear from operators, founders, and experts sharing what's actually working across marketing, operations, and technology. No fluff, just practical insights you can use today. Today's guest is Zhena Muzyka. She is the ultimate definition of local resilience. She famously launched her first business on a street corner in the middle of a crisis with basically no money in her wallet and a push cart. And she turned that into a absolute bootstrap hustle, which eventually became a multi-million-dollar retail empire. And, I feel really lucky to have her as someone we can pick the brain of and hear a little bit about how she found that infinite reservoir of energy and inspiration and learn a bit more about what she's building and how we can, help some other people build some great things. So welcome to this episode, and thank you so much for spending the time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love helping people start and grow businesses. I was a publisher also at Simon and Schuster in between businesses. I'm on my third now. I say my third and final business, but the
Famous
best.
last words.
Yeah, every entrepreneur in the world probably has said that at one point. But
Yeah.
but when I was a publisher, I said everybody has a book in them, and I do think everyone has a business in them as well. And it's the difference between building a business and having a vocation. And I think what you were mentioning earlier, a lot of people are done working for other people and would love to, captain their own ship of their time and their effort and their life force. And I think that some people are built for that and some people are built to support that. And we're all in business no matter what, every single day.
It's
So
the world we live in.
it's the world we live in. It's the system we thrive in. So
Yeah, amazing. Okay, awesome. Well, maybe just to help set some context, you could share a little bit about your background, where you came from, and I think that'll just give us a lot of color and perspective in understanding the narrative.
Yeah, well, my family's Ukrainian immigrant. They came in the 50s to California. And so I grew up with a grandfather who was a Ukrainian nationalist freedom fighter who survived 5 years in Buchenwald, and an amazing garden medicine woman, my grandmother, who taught me herbal medicine and gardening. And she was a Roma gypsy. It's a culture, and they basically instilled in me several of the values that I hold dear and rely on actually to be in business. And one is my grandfather's work ethic. It was just incredible. He was tireless. He was always building a house for one of his kids, or building cabinets for a client, or working a day and or fishing to feed us. And then my grandmother cultivated all the soil around, their homes. And I just was steeped in understanding that the world is what you make of it, and it is what you make of it with your hands. So that's my origin. And then very early on, I think my first entrepreneurial endeavor ended in reprimand and shame. But I kind of like to start with this story because I realized I was telling it to my daughter the other day, and I realized, oh, I don't use this story. But my first entrepreneurial endeavor was I was in softball in kindergarten, and they gave us candy bars to sell for $1, and I went around and sold them for $2 and kept $1. And then my mom was mortified and made me go to all the neighbors and everyone and give them back the dollar. But
Oh my God.
my neighbor Inez, who was from Portugal, said, "You're going to keep this dollar because I love your entrepreneurial spirit." And I thought, yeah, I don't understand what
Incredible.
they were worth $2.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I went to college for creative writing, and I my two loves are books and tea, and I received a full scholarship, and when I got to this all women's college in the middle of nowhere, I in Nevada, Missouri, it was called Cotty College. I met I had already been practicing herbal medicine from my grandmother, and I had been making potions. My dad says since I was a little girl, I gave everyone hives in the family. They joke. Um, and so when I got there, I met these Japanese students who were drinking tea and had actual, like, fine Japanese teas, and the minute I witnessed that and I asked them if I could taste it and sit with them, I met the Camellia sinensis plant, and I think your family of origin is are you from India?
I'm from India. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
there's
you
some
know.
overlap.
I mean,
Definitely.
Camellia sinensis, I mean, the tea plant is I mean, it became the love of my life, and I discovered tea, and then I got certified as an aromatherapist. I studied, herbal medicine in Peru with a group of shamans and ethnobotanists, and I started combining ethnobotany and indigenous plant medicine of whatever region I was living in with aromatherapy and using Camellia sinensis, the actual tea plant, as a carrier. And I found traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, Western herbology, and so my magic, my practice has always been to cultivate wellness through these different traditions into one cup, and in that is also mindfulness and that ability to be transported. As you know, chai, I learned how to make chai in Amritsar at the Golden Temple.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah, when I was 26, and, so I think, for me, tea has been a through line of passion and, joy and discovery, and it's a 6,000-year-old plant that has evolved with us, really. It was discovered by monks in the wild tea forests of Yunnan, China, and I think it has evolved with us in consciousness this whole time. And so my first company, I started selling tea in little tea parties, in friends' stores, and I was paying for my son. I was a single mom, and my baby boy needed an operation, so I was paying for his medical bills with that. We were valued at $12 million, and for a girl with $6 to her name when she started, that was pretty good. Uh,
Incredible.
and
Unbelievable.
and I became one of the pioneers of fair trade tea in the US and really learned about the power of fair trade, as a mission-driven business leader. I became passionate. So I wrote a book about that called Life by the Cup, and there are great lessons. That whole book is less like it's chapters short enough to sip, and I'm working on Money by the Cup and Business by the Cup right now, by the way. Uh,
Amazing.
Yeah, but that business, I raised $8.5 million in private equity. I got the product into 20,000 grocery stores. I then, during the market crash in 2008 to 2010, I sold the majority of the stock to save the company because we were in grocery stores where we were more of a luxury product at that point. And then I worked for the private equity guys and the new CEO for a couple years, and then they fired me.
As private equity guys do.
I'm always like, "Why would you fire the pain in the butt founder?"
Well, you lose the soul of it, though, you
But
know?
you do. We can be a pain in the butt, but because we have the heart and the vision, I think the beauty of keeping the founder is to find the synthesis, and they were less mission driven. And once they realized that being a fair trade, 100% fair trade company was so painstakingly paperwork laden, I think that's what they stopped, loving me so much because that was my main passion was, like, the mission of the company is what we must stand behind no matter what, and So when I got fired from there, I was crushed and I couldn't see a way forward. Spun into a deep depression, and I was working on Life by the Cup at the time and finishing it up. And I went to New York and I met with my publisher, and I told her that I was super scared to tell her that I had been fired and they were probably not gonna support my book. And Judith Kerr hired me on the spot to start in print at Simon& and Schuster because she said that she had been watching how I bring so much to the meetings and I have so many great marketing ideas. She thought if I brought my marketing, expertise and my passion to Simon& and Schuster, she thought it would be a really good thing for everyone. So I landed on my feet miraculously and had my own imprint where I published 40 books of other people's, in 4.5 years. Yeah, I call her my queen. She definitely helped give me back my dignity. But I started the imprint. I learned, we at the time were owned by CBS, so I had a podcast on CBS Radio called Changemakers, and it was all based on business leaders who were changing the world through their business. And then I missed tea so much, Rahul. It's like the thing where I have, this great job in New York. I'm powerful. I like all these things, and all I can think about is how much I miss making tea and how devastated I was that I wasn't able to make my medicine for my friends. And I never signed an NDA, so I received a letter that the guys were closing the company. They did the thing I told them not to do, which was to launch a line of diet teas that were diminishing to women's, self-confidence, to be honest, and that was not okay for me. I tend to align with goddess energy and empowerment when it comes to women, and that's my passion. And so they launched a very big play into diet teas in drugstores, and I got fired over that, and I then they failed, and I tried to buy my name back, but they wouldn't sell it to me at the time. And I then started Magic Hour. And now Magic Hour is $8.5 million. I did it without investors. I had some seed loans. Um, I have a full manufacturing facility I built in Ojai, California. I own it myself. I'm running it with a beautiful team. We got through COVID. I launched 2 months before COVID and with a little tea salon, and I thought, "Well, I just wanna make tea and teach tea ceremony now. I want it to be small and simple, and I'm gonna write books, and I'm gonna be happy and keep my life simple." And 2 months after I signed a 5-year lease with a personal guarantee on a very expensive building, COVID hit and the lockdown happened.
Like we need a new business model. Intimate gatherings might not be the best for that situation.
Yeah, exactly, in a small circle, I thought, "Well, there goes that."
My gosh.
But
It's never easy.
yeah, I started making, little videos. I called my videographer friend, John, who worked at Patagonia at the time, and they were all on lockdown, and I said, "Hey, you've been with me to Sri Lanka, you wanna and to the tea fields, you wanna make some videos with me? I don't know what else I'm gonna do." He's like, "Yeah, I'm bored. I don't know what else to do either." So, he came over to the tea salon, and we started making tea videos, putting them online, and then all my customers found me, and they were locked in their houses watching Facebook videos and YouTube videos, and they found me, and they were calling like, "I miss my coconut chai. I miss my raspberry Earl Grey. I miss my bohemian breakfast." And so I said, "Oh, I'll make it for you," and did
Well,
$2 million my first year on accident.
wow.
So
Incredible.
that's my whole story.
So you were like, okay, we're going to go hyper local. We're done with the 20,000 stores and being nationwide and all that stuff. And we're just going to have a community. And
That's all I wanted was
you
close.
just kind of got sucked in to creating an e-commerce brand direct to consumer.
Well, when I realized that private I didn't know at the time about leases on buildings, at that level, and I didn't realize that a personal guarantee meant I was I was liable for 5 years, lease payments, which was about $400,000. And the guy that owned the building was a tough LA guy who came into small town Ojai and bought the building. And I was going to probably lose my home if I didn't figure it out. My husband was very upset with me.
Did he know you signed the personal guarantee?
No, yeah. I mean, we're now divorced, so there, go figure.
I mean, you can't have it all, I guess.
I mean, we're co-parenting really well, but yeah. So, but the thing was too is Rahul, I was really scared of failing again, number one. But number two, I had a saying
You
and
consider the first one a failure?
I did. I walked away with nothing. Yeah. But
Wow.
14 years of my life and tremendous amount of experience, connection to my farmers, but when they went under, they didn't pay people, they went under, and it ruined all my relationships to the people I loved the most, and I felt very, crushed, and so I committed this time to not have co-packers. I don't have any co-packers, and the last time I had co-packers that were stuck with all my inventory, and that's not okay.
You
Um
wanted to own your own supply chain, your choices,
This
your
time, I was like
processes.
well, it kinda happened by chance, so I was gonna just I was thinking, "Oh, a $500,000 business, and I'll make just enough money to, write full-time and basically, and I'll do these events." And so then when COVID hit and I realized, I the first initial model was that I would become a publisher and a tea, like, retreat in a box. So, the first boxes, the subscription box, I still have it, it's called Monthly Magic, it's the main my main passion in the business, but what it does is it brings people online together and it brings teachers, wisdom teachers together for a cup of tea. And so in that box, I make a tea for them. I make a tea that is seasonal and for that lesson. I had a teacher co-teaching the class. Everything was done on Zoom for the most part. Then people would receive the box in their home and it was like masterclass meets tea ceremony. And it was amazing because I started that and then COVID hit. That was gonna be just like a little thing I did with the in-person stuff, and then that took over, and we built I mean, we have 400,000 people in our community now, um,
Wow. What does
and
community mean? That's like people who have signed
oh,
up for your newsletter or people who have.
yeah. Well, the newsletter and the membership, the monthly box members, I think there's 2,000 of those right now.
Wow, cool.
The theme isn't always I always come up with an annual theme, and it's not always everyone's cup of tea. And so this year, the theme is She Rises, Teas of the Divine Feminine, and I'm bringing in those, wisdom teachings of the female archetypes of ancient goddesses of every culture across the world, and I am very passionate about that, and so I think I may, carry it through for a second year because I'm having so much fun with it. And, like, if you're from India, like, we have Lakshmi. I was married in a Lakshmi temple. My tea growers are devoted to Lakshmi. Yeah, so, like and then this month, May, is Flora in Bloom. She was, a Greek goddess, and then my daughter-in-law to be, my son's girlfriend, this is the happy story. My son is my head of sales. My daughter-in-law to be is now my illustrator designer, and my
Wow,
daughter.
she's really talented.
She is so talented, and my 16-year-old daughter she works at the tea salon. We have a beautiful tea salon now in Ojai. So we've got a tea salon, we've got and we do tons of events. We have mahjong, we have tea school, we have tea meditations, um, and we have a restaurant there. We do afternoon tea now. We expanded into a huge location downtown Ojai, and then we have our online community and yeah, it's the best thing in the world.
Wow.
I'm happy every day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Like a lot of the advice out there on YouTube and, Reddit and the internet and stuff is all about hey, here's a product that you can sell and make $1 million. It's kind of this like, hey, here's sort of like turnkey ideas that you can use to start a company. And I feel like a lot of people get seduced by that because, they're excited about the idea of owning their own business and not, being beholden to a boss and all this kind of stuff. But it seems like in your case, it was sort of the opposite. You kind of were like, hey, I've got a product that I feel like a deep connection to and a mission that I feel a deep connection to. And then it just kind of turned out that it could also be a business, sort of like almost like secondarily. And so do you think there's like a lesson there? I mean, obviously there's something, but how would you articulate the lesson?
Yeah, I mean, my entire book, Business by the Cup and Money by the Cup, I'm doing a series, is about it's my jam is to be transformational, not transactional. So I believe so deeply in the power of connection and love through farming and through tea and through botanicals and these ancient crafts that for me that deep passion and alignment is is my main focus. And if the transactional part of business, I actually have to hire people who are better at. The transactional side, I don't align with as much. I It's hard for me to think transactionally. There are a couple notes here that I'd love your listeners to take to heart. Number one was when I started Magic Hour, I was in inquiry and I said, I wonder, I was 44 and I thought, I'm getting older now. And I thought, if I do this again, I wonder what it would look like to just get paid to be myself every day. And then I thought, well, who am I now? What is that self? What would I do naturally? And I'm a certified executive coach. I got certified in between all of this, and I'm part of the Transformational Leadership Group, the Association of Transformational Leaders. So I got certified as a coach because my passion is, I always say I can't manage people, but I can grow them. So as I was building Zena's tea, I got certified as a coach because I didn't know how to I was 25 when I started. Like I didn't know anything. And so then this company, I thought, okay, number one, and I learned a lot through Simon and Schuster. I learned corporate through Simon and Schuster. That was awesome. And I was in all the meetings. I was doing P&Ls for books. I was doing the tarot cards for the CEO and the CFO and I was like the little, I was the in-house witchy lady. But what I discovered was to be yourself every day and to get paid for that. What does that look like? That was the basis of Magic Hour. It was not created before. There was no one doing a tea ceremony subscription box to build and connect the world through tea that had spiritual teachings in it. And I was like, these are all the things I love. I love meditation. I love spirituality. I love transformation. I love helping people reach their full potential. I love gathering people. I love building community. I love giving people inspiration. And I was a public speaker and I love empowering people to follow their dreams. What does that look like in a business? And so I built the business model. It wasn't even really a business model. It was just like an ADHD sort of notes, like it was like an Apple Notes plan. And I basically said, and then my mentors, Gay and Katie Hendricks, they wrote a very famous book called The Big Leap. I was talking to them, they've been my mentors for 25 years, and I was talking to them about it, and they said, "We're gonna give you the money to start this." I said, "No." I go, "No, no, no, I can't lose your money. There's no way. I would never be able to live with myself if I lost your money." And they said, "Whatever it's gonna be, how much money do you need?" And I was like, "Well, I'm gonna need probably about $150,000." And they were like, "Okay, done." And so they loaned me the money and I paid them back the next year with a 40% return. Hallelujah. And they're still, I consider them my co-founders because they believed in the real me, the authentic me. And I did not believe in myself. So, number one, what does it look like to get paid to be yourself? build a business around that if you are gonna be a solid founder that is as a founder-led business. If you're transactional and you don't wanna be that person, 'cause it is a special kind of person that, like me, I work 24/7 because it's not work, that if you like the transaction side of it and you're a genius in that, go do that or work for somebody like me that needs that. Um, and then number 3 is find people who believe in the best you and talk to them and ask them where your blind spots are. What are you missing? What do they see in you that you might not be seeing in yourself that you could turn into a lucrative business? And and not to mention, I mean, read The Big Leap. I mean, Gay Hendricks writes about being in your zone of genius. And he would always say to me, like, well, you're good at that. You're competent, but that's not your zone of genius, Z. Like, you've got to do this. And that is so important to find what it is that where you disappear into joy while you're doing it, and this all sounds very cliche, but I will tell you, these are the businesses that serve the heart of humankind in a way that transcends the transaction. Because transactions can be copied. Anybody can make a widget. Anybody can work around a patent. Anybody can drop ship anything. Anybody can do anything, and that's great. But if you want it to be a fulfilling mission-driven business, you've gotta dig deep into the heart of why you exist and what your destiny is, so
Yeah, it resonates a lot. I mean, the part of it which I'm still like, wow, this is going to be hard for others to emulate is so I think many people could probably figure out like what drives them. You know, they could figure out, hey, if I got paid to be myself, what would that look like? But it seems like then there's this really hard second step of taking that authentic version of yourself and putting it out there and like helping to broadcast it and own it and promote it and build a brand around it. And I feel like that that second part is not for the
wait,
average
was
person.
it? Okay, mine happened by accident,
Yeah,
okay?
let's hear about
I'll
that.
alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is actually funny. So John Faniff, my beloved brother of a friend, he when he came and did those videos with me, because he was bored, I was bored, and we just loved to crack each other up. We're like buddies. And so he made these videos and he's like, well, he's asking me questions. He's like, well, how do you make matcha? And I'm like, well, I am not good at making matcha. And I'm just we were just riffing and he was filming me. We were just having fun. I mean, what did I have to lose? I was about to lose my house and my marriage and my sanity, and I was probably gonna live on the streets. Like, I had this huge catastrophe built in my head so I had nothing to lose. John, I don't even think charged me because he was just bored sitting in his house. And and what happened was, we made these authentic videos, and he and I had been making videos for my last company for a long time, like, but I couldn't watch myself on video. So when he uploaded the videos, I gave them to these friends who knew how to run Facebook ads and YouTube ads. And I didn't watch them because I was like, I got I could not see myself on camera with any form of compassion.
Of
so,
course. Yeah. Well,
so,
welcome
so
to the club.
yeah, yeah. So I just I all I see is like the 5-year-old with the buck teeth and the frizzy hair. Like I can't even go there. So I gave them to the ad agency friends, and then a few weeks later I start getting orders like and and these orders are happen like, I'm getting orders, and I'm like, "What is going on?" And I have my tea salon boarded up, like, the windows covered because we weren't allowed to be out anywhere at work. So I'm back there, breaking the law. But what happened was I started getting phone calls, and there's this woman who called. She was, like, the first phone call I got, and she has a Southern accent. She's calling from Tennessee. And she's like, I need fat cut out of my liver. And she's like, what's that stuff you're talking about? And I was like, fat cut out of my liver. I'm all Ti Kuan Yin Oolong? And she's like, yeah. at this point, I don't even remember saying that. I don't remember,
Wow.
but it does. It actually helps burn fat out of your liver. I mean, it's
Yeah.
and so
Visceral fat. Yeah.
yeah, and she's like, "I got fat in my liver. I need it out." And I was like, "Okay, wait. Okay, and then I'm like, okay. And that product wasn't even on the website. I just had that little subscription box on the website. So I run and I go, I'll post it for you. I said, I have like 100 pounds of it that I bought thinking I was going to be in business. I go, I'll post it for you and then you can buy it. She goes, okay, well, I'm going to tell all my friends because we have fatty liver disease because we love what'd she say? She cracked me up. She's like, we love our soda out here in the South. It's like, "Oh," I was like, "Sugar's bad." Anyway, so, I then called John and I'm like, "Dude, what did you do with those videos? Did you edit them?" And he said, "No." I go, "Oh my god, I gave them to the agency and you just edit it? You
You
didn't
just
edit."
posted raw videos.
I
Wow.
was cussing, I was making
Uh,
fun of myself, I'm super clumsy.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What would it look like to get paid to be my
Yeah, you're like, I wasn't expecting to be
every
that much myself,
single
but I guess
thing?
I gotta do it.
I would never have done that. I would have never, ever, ever in a million trillion years thought that that was even okay to do. And and what John said to me is he said, Z, we are leaving the best parts of you on the editing room floor. He goes, I've traveled with you. I know you personally. You are so funny and you're so in it for other people to win it. Like you're so of service to others, but you edit all of your authenticity. And so then I was like, all right, well, it worked because I was able to pay rent. I never missed a rent payment of that
Wow. After
building
all that.
after all that. So then, my friends, I basically started getting more and more orders. I was blending the tea, packing the tea, labeling the tea, putting it in boxes, printing the labels, driving it to the post office, hoping I didn't get arrested, dropping it off in the post office in the back so no one would see me. And I was like, "Holy cow, this thing is working." And then one of my best friends at the time, she owned a restaurant that was shut down, a huge restaurant here. And she was like, "Hey, I have a bottle of rosé. I'm coming to see you. Don't don't tell anyone."
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, I'm like, "Okay." So she shows up, it's like 6 at night, and she's watching me. I'm crying and I start crying. I've got paper cuts on my hands. I'm I'm crying because I haven't slept. I'm packing boxes by myself, blending the tea, labeling the tea, printing the I'm doing everything by myself. And she looks at me and she goes, I have a bunch of unemployed waiters at like
Who
servers
could
and
help out? Yeah.
would you be okay? And I was like, I mean, we're gonna break the law. Like I was breaking the law. I was like, yeah, I need help. I'm and then so she just rolled up her sleeves and jumped in and started helping me pack orders. And then the next day Jackie showed up and Jackie's still with me to this day. Ashley showed up. She just left in December. She was there for almost 5.5 years. Noah showed up, who's now my chef. He was the chef there. He's my chef at the tea salon. And a bunch of people, it was like a barn raising. And so, what I have to say for people who are nervous about putting it out there, we're all nervous to put it out there. I am now the video queen. It takes so much for me to gather the energy to do it. This interview alone, like I would so much rather be like formulating tea in the lab right now, but I have a story and a mission, and it's my duty to help people by illuminating a path forward so that other people I can be a lighthouse and they can see their path forward. So I gather the strength, I gather myself and I do it as a service. And I think a lot of people have a message to share and being scared to share it isn't helping anybody.
Amazing. Well, I think that is probably very inspirational to many people because I think many people kind of are sort of like thinking, hey, I wasn't born with the public speaking gene, or and I
I
think
wasn't
it just,
either.
Yeah, I think it is very invigorating to hear that it can be cultivated with intentionality, and kind of having, like you said, like it's my duty because my mission is to spread this information. So I have to do that.
Well, and I took public speaking classes to help me in my first company. In my first company, I realized, my investors told they made me get media trained, and I was hideous. Like, I one time I pulled up the old VHS tape, that's how long I've been in business, the old VHS tape to show my staff how bad I was at it, and they all were, like, rolling on the floor.
Oh my
I
gosh.
I would literally knead my hands like this on stage. Then I ended up speaking at the UN Institute of Peace for Women in Business globally. I ended up getting paid $25,000 to speak on a stage for an hour, and I would be in cold sweats before I'd go on, but here's what I would here was the thing that got me through. This isn't for me. This is for them. Minute I made it about service, I was able to bypass that ego anxiety that keeps us small. We stay small because it's safer. We're not gonna get beat up if we, stay quiet. We're not gonna get bullied if we, or become a target if we stay invisible. But neither will other people get to hear our gifts and our message. It's so important that we share.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so I think this has been incredible. Just heard a lot about the story and what kind of has enabled you to overcome all these obstacles along the way. So maybe to wrap it up, here you are, sort of at the, maybe the pinnacle of a long career with a lot of ups and downs and a lot of lessons. If you could go back and talk to yourself at the very beginning when you're 25 and you're starting your tea brand for the first time, what are some of the things that you would really want to help that 25-year-old version of yourself know, and that you think would really help them, become more successful more quickly, do things maybe a little bit differently?
It's such a good question and one that gets asked a lot, but is always fresh. I look back because I keep a daily journal. I look back at what I knew to be true even before my son needed the emergency operations and everything in the beginning of his life. And I knew what God put me on the earth to do. Like, I knew already. I knew I wanted to help people with plants. I knew I wanted to write and inspire people through books. I knew it. With every conviction in my body, I knew it, but I was terrified of failure. And so I would say, remember why you were put on the earth. Like, remember there's one you that will never be recreated in the infinite amount of lives that will, for, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, walk this earth. There's only one you. Why did God think so much of you to create you? And just express it and remember it and be as fearless as you can possibly be in it. I think
Just
that's
find
it.
and live with purpose. Yeah.
It's with a purpose, I mean, I do teach a class called Finding Your Purpose and Living It, because there is a purpose that's in each of us, as much as we have a thumbprint, that's a fingerprint that can never be recreated. We have an essence and a soul. And the other thing I would tell her is, as long as you listen to your soul, that still small voice within you, and don't listen to the noise of other people's fears being projected on you, that I think is what limited me the most, is believing other people's fear as real and believing their limitations were my limitations. Obey the soul and be convinced of your own of your own, you know, value on the earth.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Well, I really appreciate the time. It was
Yeah,
so
thank
amazing to learn from you and hear about your story and all the things you've accomplished. And I think there's a
you.
lot of wisdom to share and absorb from a lot of different angles. And so, yeah, thank you so much, and look forward to having you back and maybe doing another one of these after we hear about the next wave of growth in your business.
Thanks, Raul. Thank you for all you do.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for listening to Made Locally. If you found this useful, share it with another business owner who's in the trenches like you. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next episode. And if something stood out, I'd love to read your comments. See you in the next episode.